Hello, ladies and gentlemen who are looking for that extremely cute and pleasant romance to read. Today I bring you a story I found while surfing the depths of the internet, and it won me over thanks to a couple you just can't help but root for. But without much delay, let's jump into the recap. His girlfriend is extremely cute. Her name is Akira, and she usually wears masculine clothes, but that only makes her even cuter. On top of that, she has quite the sharp tongue. They've known each other and been friends since kindergarten, but it wasn't even a conscious thing. Until one day, Daichi confessed in a completely direct way, saying he loved her and asking if she didn't want to go out with him. She didn't understand where that came from so suddenly, but she didn't say no. Even after years, she's still the same tomboyish girl she was back in 8th grade, which is when they started dating. One day Daichi found out there would be a cultural festival at his school and mentioned he'd heard Akira's class was organizing a cosplay cafe, so he wanted to check it out. But Akira immediately said she didn't agree with that. She said she'd be way too embarrassed to show herself like that in front of her boyfriend. But ignoring that, he simply asked what kind of cosplay she'd be doing. Right now, they go to different schools, but their schedules match, so he has no idea how Akira acts at school. Based only on what he knows of her, he quickly imagines she might go dressed as a police officer or maybe a vampire. Whatever the costume, he thinks she'd look great. But not limiting himself to just cool things, he also thinks she'd look great in something cute. But that, Daichi can't say to her, or he'll end up getting hit. And driven by curiosity, he decides to sneak in secretly. Once there, he finds Akira, but her costume was completely different from what he expected. As soon as she sees him, she says she told him not to come, barely able to contain her embarrassment. On the other hand, he stays quiet at first, just admiring her. After a few more moments of admiration, he apologizes, but says he really wanted to see her. And noticing the way he was staring at her like never before, Akira tries to hide, asking him not to look. But that was impossible in that moment. And so, once again, Daichi reaffirmed in his mind that his girlfriend is extremely cute. Hours later, still the same day, they were now at the dojo, which they've been attending together for a while. There, he couldn't help but comment that she looked cute in the maid uniform and that he'd love to see it again. But Akira just gives him a light smack on the head and says her friend forced her to wear that and it's never happening again. And even now, he can only think she's just too cute. While he sulks about not being able to see her in that outfit again, their teacher calls him an Akira. He says Akira was the only girl who came today, so they'll have to train together. Already on the mat, Daichi and Akira face each other, and he remembers that in this dojo, they don't usually have mixed gender practice, so it's been a while since they trained together like this. The drill they were doing at the moment was about grabbing and trying to throw your opponent off balance, but while doing so, Daichi ended up saying she was really short. That made Akira furious, and with a surgical move, she threw him to the ground with precision. And looking up at her while she says he's pretty weak, he can't help but think Akira is amazing. After practice, Daichi was waiting for Akira to get ready. She then shows up in a completely different outfit. That makes Daichi stare at her for a while, and seconds later he says he loved the outfit she wore for him, but she says it was a gift from her friend for her birthday. Handing him her bag, Akira says that this kind of outfit isn't her style, but since she got it as a gift, she thought she'd wear it, but it wasn't for him. Still, even after hearing that, Daichi doesn't hesitate to say she looked great in it, that she looked even cuter. Turning around completely embarrassed, all she could do was ask him to shut up. But no matter what she says, his girlfriend remains extremely cute. Days later, Daichi goes to Akira's house, and she greets him in regular clothes. He says he ended up forgetting something at her place the last time he visited. He says that when they were studying for the English test, he left his flashcards there. Walking to her room, he can't help but notice she still wears the same kind of clothes she used to in middle school. Akira says it's just a habit, but that it still seems to work on him, while Daichi just thinks anything looks good on her. Now in her room, looking for his flashcards, they end up not finding them. Suddenly Akira leans down to check something, and Daichi looks at what he shouldn't. However, he quickly tries to play it cool, which only makes it more obvious, and Akira notices. Daichi tries to keep searching like nothing happened, but Akira breaks through the awkwardness and asks if he saw something. He does his best to ignore the question, answering that he didn't see a thing. But in the end, he confesses he saw, but just very quickly. That makes Akira immediately slam Daichi to the floor and call him a pervert and a bunch of other insults. After that, she kicks him out of the room, and he says he only saw something gray. Extremely embarrassed, Akira realizes she should probably wear less baggy clothes next time, while Daichi thinks it's best to apologize to her. On another day, boarding the subway, Daichi and Akira meet, but pretend not to know each other. This happens because they're still hiding that they're dating. With their backs turned to each other, both just listen to their friends talking cheerfully. According to Daichi, this happens because the closeness they share was something accidental, and to this day their relationship still feels more like a friendship between two guys than a couple. That Akira would be really bothered if people started teasing her because of that. Suddenly, one of Akira's friends tells her that her skirt was lifted, but without caring much, she just fixes it and says she's wearing leggings underneath, so it's not a problem, making her friend comment that she talks like a boy. Then her friend notices a couple holding hands and flirting outside the train, and gets all excited, which makes Daichi wonder if girls like that kind of thing. Glancing sideways, he realizes Akira is also looking, and it reminds him that they haven't even held hands until now. It makes him wonder if she wouldn't mind if they did that, these normal couple things. Since they're getting close to the next stop, some people start moving around, making the two of them bump into each other, still with their backs turned, but close enough to hold hands. Daichi sees this as a golden opportunity and does it, which startles Akira because it was so sudden. She whispers low enough that only he can hear and asks what the hell he's doing, making him apologize. Then she adds that his friends are right over there in the corner, so they can't do that. Embarrassed, Daichi says he understands, and thinks to himself that it really wasn't the best time to try something like that, until Akira says they can't do that, at least, not right now. And so the train doors open, and she gets off at her stop, flustered, leaving Daichi completely confused, but also excited. Now, lying on the floor at home reading manga, Daichi is bored. Today is the sports festival at Akira's school, but since they were almost caught dating the last time he attended, Akira forbade him from going again. Only one of her friends knows about their relationship. Then his phone rings. It's Akira's mother. She apologizes and says her husband was so excited about going to the school event that he ended up falling down the stairs by accident. That's why she asks Daichi to bring Akira her lunch instead, while her husband screams in the background that his leg hurts. In the end, Daichi agrees to do her the favor. Arriving at the event, he notices several groups, until he finally spots Akira from afar, who was, as always, skilled and having fun with her friends. Watching that, all he can think is how amazing she is. Then, the next event starts. The cheerleading competition. The blue team begins, and as Daichi sees their uniforms, he immediately imagines how perfect it would look on Akira. Then the red team begins, Akira's team, and when Daichi sees her, his eyes immediately light up. She's dancing with her friend, even though clearly embarrassed. Then, during one of the dance moves, she turns toward where Daichi is standing. When she sees him, she freezes, shocked at being caught, which makes the already tough situation even worse for her. She tries to ask why he's there, but there's no time for that now. So, even though she's extremely embarrassed, she keeps trying to dance while also trying to hide, which makes the whole thing as cute as possible. After the performance ends, Akira pulls Daichi to a hidden corner and says she told him not to come. That if he keeps staring like that, people are going to find out, while Daichi can only apologize. But then he tells her that he knows she didn't want him to come, but her dad fell down the stairs and they asked him to bring her lunch instead, which led to all this. She checks her phone and confirms it, then admits she was wrong and apologizes, but still says she's a little mad at him. Even so, Daichi can't help but say that it was really cute, and that he's glad he got to see her like that. There's a moment of silence, until Akira gives him a light punch on the back and, super embarrassed, calls him an idiot. Days later, while they're walking, Akira tells him that a friend of her dad is looking for people to work, and asked her to help with a part-time job. It's a restaurant job, and she'll be helping in the kitchen, so she tells him he can come try the food, since she'll be in the back, and they won't run into each other. Just imagining Akira in a kitchen uniform already gets him excited. So, out of mere curiosity to see if the food Akira makes will be any good, he decides to go on the same day she starts. Sitting anxiously, trying to find Akira somehow, he looks around in every direction until the waiter comes to his table while he's looking at the menu. And to both their surprise, it's Akira who's attending to him, and she immediately asks why he's there. He simply says he told her the day before that he'd come, but she asks if he didn't see the other message she sent earlier today, and Daichi says he didn't. Akira then explains that one of the staff members called in sick with a cold and took the day off, and in the rush, they ended up assigning that person's job to her. Daichi says he understands the situation and was about to say something more, but Akira cuts him off, saying the uniform looks horrible on her, and asks him not to look too much. And I have to disagree here. You look stunning, Akira. Taking advantage of the moment when Akira finishes putting herself down, Daichi tries once again to say that actually, she looked adorable in those clothes, but she covers his mouth, too embarrassed to hear it. That's when he asks if she's bothered by him saying things like that, and apologizes. But, to his surprise, Akira just says that, coming from him, it actually doesn't bother her at all. And those few words were enough to leave Daichi frozen after Akira walked away. He might not have eaten anything, but in exchange, he saw a lot. Now, while watching a commercial on TV as they were having lunch, Akira comments that she thought the style of clothing they were showing looked really cool. And Daichi, imagining Akira wearing those clothes, quickly realizes how even cuter she would look, and how amazing it is that everything looks good on her. However, looking back at the program, they were now showing an outfit with a very short skirt, which makes Akira furious. Recently, something has been bothering Daichi. Ever since Akira entered high school, she became even cuter, but still seemed like a tomboy. But after a while, she started wearing strangely cute clothes. Seeing the other guys noticing that side of her made Daichi start to feel something strange. Trying to stop thinking about it, he decides to invite her to go to the mall next weekend, but Akira says she already promised to go out with her friends. And with that, Daichi starts to question whether he's becoming possessive. But knowing that would only cause problems between them, he tries to control his impulses. Days later, walking past a game center after returning from the mall alone, he remembers that Akira is probably with her friends right now, so he decides to go in and try to have some fun too. After walking around the place a bit, he ends up hearing some cheerful girls talking about how cute they looked in their new clothes. And coming out from the photo booth area with her friends was Akira, now wearing gyro-style clothes. Realizing it was her, Daichi is shocked because she was now wearing the exact outfit she was criticizing the other day when they were watching TV. So he runs up to her, catching her completely off guard. She asks where the hell he came from and if he wasn't supposed to be at the mall, but he says he was already heading home and decided to kill some time there. But now that he's up close, he can't help but stare at this new style of hers, which makes Akira embarrassed and ask him not to stare so much. Trying to go back to her group of friends, Akira says goodbye and walks away, when Daichi grabs her arm to stop her and suddenly ties his sweatshirt around Akira's skirt. He tells her she looked beautiful in those clothes, but that he doesn't want other guys seeing her like that. Embarrassed, but visibly happy, Akira agrees and walks away now wearing the sweatshirt over her skirt, leaving Daichi alone and flustered, realizing he really is possessive. Now, somewhere else, two visibly embarrassed girls were trying to invite a classmate to go to karaoke with them. Her name is Reina, and in response to their invitation, she gently declines. Almost as if expecting that, the two girls apologize for bothering her and leave peacefully. Meanwhile, those who were in the classroom and heard that comment that she's truly the ice queen and that it's kinda cool. That's when another figure appears, greets her, and invites her to walk home together. And to her, Reina gladly accepts, because that was Akira, and she's her best friend. Reina hardly interacted with anyone, even in kindergarten, but it was Akira who made that loneliness disappear. To her, Akira is an extremely kind girl, and she loves being her best friend. Until one day, after they started high school, Akira revealed to Reina that she had gotten a boyfriend, Daichi, who had been with them since kindergarten. That made Reina start thinking about Daichi, a tall and absent-minded guy, and even though they'd been around each other for so long, they never really talked much. Worried about Akira, she asks if she's really sure about this, because to her, he seemed like someone very closed off and mysterious. But, blushing, Akira answers that he just doesn't show his feelings in front of others. But after hearing that, Reina starts fantasizing, imagining what kind of feelings he's hiding from everyone, and even tries to ask if he ever tried anything, but Akira doesn't understand, which makes Reina think she's still innocent and is definitely being made a fool of by Daichi. With the intent of protecting her, Reina decides to observe them for a few days, but the result wasn't what she expected. They made no progress at all during that time. Moreover, she also realized that their relationship doesn't differ from a male friendship. Reflecting on this, she wonders if high school students who've been dating for over a year shouldn't have already advanced further, and that they honestly seem to have no idea what being a couple even means. With that, Reina wonders what the hell is missing for them to progress, as Akira invites her to go somewhere else, and Daichi says he won't join them because a new ramen shop opened nearby. Curious and wanting ramen, Akira asks where it is and tries to find it as Daichi points it out, but in doing so, she ends up losing her balance on her own and falls on top of Daichi. That leaves both of them extremely embarrassed. And Reina, who started this surveillance to protect Akira, changes her mind and now decides she'll do whatever she can to help them move forward in this relationship. Days later, the three go out together again, and Reina takes the opportunity, while Akira went to get the food, to ask Daichi how things are going in their relationship. And in a direct way, he says that Akira is so cute that he's simply lost. Hearing this, Reina asks if that isn't actually a good thing, but Daichi says no, and that he really doesn't know what to do. To make things worse, lately he's been worried about other guys eyeing her, and all he can manage to say to her is how cute she is. And hearing this kind of confession from him, the only thing Reina feels is that they're both annoying. Even so, she tells him that he's a straightforward guy, so he should just go all in and say, "I like you" to her already. Since they've known each other since childhood, they don't really see one another for what they are, a boy and a girl. And if they ever bring that up again, maybe they'll start to notice something. Akira then returns with her food in hand, pulls a chair next to Reina, and says she's really been helping a lot by taking on the task of making Halloween costumes for the judo club. Reina is always in charge of making costumes for cultural festivals, so Akira was actually excited about the upcoming outfit, and while they talked with enthusiasm, Daichi kept thinking about what Reina had told him. The last time he said he liked Akira was during his confession, and since then, they'd been acting more like a pair of friends. It's hard for him to say anything beyond a "you're cute." And as he was lost in thought, Reina seemed to be reading his mind. After all that, Reina told them to leave it to her. She would make the perfect costume. The day of Halloween arrives, and Daichi gets a prince costume. But when he looks at Akira's outfit, as she tries to stop the kids from tugging on her for candy, he can't tell what exactly she's supposed to be. Tired of being pulled in all directions, she gets annoyed, and the kids run off laughing. Some time later, her candy runs out, so she goes to get more, and Daichi asks why the kids kept pulling on her cloak. She says it was fine and that it was Reina who set her up like that. While they're chatting, a new little witch is waiting for her chance, and when she sees it, she pulls Akira's cloak again and says, "Trick or treat." And maybe because the cloak had already been tugged on so much, this time it rips, revealing her true costume, a beautiful princess. She's caught off guard. Seeing that, Daichi thinks this could turn dangerous and she might get mad. But instead, while apologizing to the little witch for ripping the costume, Akira hugs her and says it's okay, that she's actually a princess. She thanks the little witch for restoring her look, and Daichi can only watch that adorable scene. After the witch leaves, Akira, now extremely embarrassed, says she knows being a princess doesn't suit her. But Daichi simply tells her that he likes her, catching her completely off guard. He also says he likes how she looks right now. Totally flustered, Akira just asks why he's saying that so suddenly. And from across the counter, Reina quietly watches, happy with the little progress. The next day, now at home talking with Reina, Akira says she feels like Daichi has been more assertive since they entered high school. And embarrassed, she confesses that the other day he suddenly told her he liked her. Little did she know that Reina was the one behind it all. She continues and says it was just like that time he confessed. And that yes, she likes him too, but even though they've been dating for a year now, they've just been going out like always. Now, she finds herself thinking about how she should act, whether more feminine or more like a couple. None of that is really her thing, and she doesn't know what to do. So Reina bluntly says she should stop dressing so weirdly, like an elementary schooler, wearing shorts even though it's autumn, and short-sleeved shirts. Akira refuses at first, so Reina just lets it go. Until one day, while Reina and Akira are out walking, they see Daichi staring at something. To Akira's shock, he's looking at a beautiful woman in flashy clothes. Even after some time, he's still staring. And if that wasn't enough, he even mutters that she's cute. This leaves Akira panicking, since she never imagined he'd call someone else cute besides her. Seizing the moment, Reina grabs Akira's shirt and shorts and asks if maybe this is because Daichi's heart was struck by something Akira isn't good at. Imagining the worst, Akira decides to take action and schedules a date with him. Before she even gets close enough for a proper greeting, Daichi already sees her new outfit. It's stunning. Getting closer, he asks where she got those clothes, and she says they've become trendy, but maybe he hadn't noticed. Then she reminds him of the woman he was staring at earlier, but he seems to have no clue what she's talking about. Letting that go, Akira asks if he likes that kind of thing. Girls who are more sensual. Blushing, she says that she is too, which completely catches him off guard. Clearly disappointed, she says that sure, that woman might have been interesting, but for him to call her cute. That's when Daichi finally realizes what she was referring to. He explains he wasn't looking at the woman. When he said cute, it was because the child next to her was wearing clothes that reminded him of the ones Akira always wore, and he couldn't help himself. Akira remembers now that there really was someone else there. Looking into her eyes, Daichi says he would never call another woman cute besides her. She stays silent for a moment, then explodes in embarrassment, asking why everyone treats her like an elementary schooler. Moments later, even though it was all a misunderstanding, Akira was now determined to keep doing her best. Now at Akira's parents' house, she and her mom are prepping the motorcycle for a ride. Noticing her clothes, Daichi asks if she also has a jumpsuit, but she says that one actually belonged to her mom. A few days had passed since that day, and not much had changed. He confessed to her again, but nothing really progressed, which makes him wonder if she wasn't impressed. But completely unaware of his thoughts, Akira was just admiring the beautiful motorcycle. Sitting on it, she says that one day she'll take him for a ride, and he'll be the one sitting behind her. His cool girlfriend strikes again. Back inside, he keeps thinking how things are still the same. A kind of guy-like friendship. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Then Akira pulls him into the living room for something cold to drink. There, Akira complains about how hot it is and now realizes it wasn't a great idea to keep the jumpsuit on just because it looked cool. It's making her feel like she's in a sauna, so she takes it off and starts wiping off her sweat while scrolling through her phone. Seeing that, Daichi tries not to look, but the situation is definitely getting out of hand. Akira is totally relaxed, as if she doesn't even consider Daichi, her boyfriend, as a guy. Or so it seems to him. So he grabs the towel he had around his neck, covers her with it, and says that even if Akira sees them as a friendship between guys, he's still a man, and he sees her very much as a girl. That, of course, completely catches her off guard. He tells her that even though they're alone, her outfit is still a bit too much for him, which leaves her a mix of embarrassed and annoyed, saying that in that case, he shouldn't be staring. Just then, Akira's mom comes into the room and watches them silently, as Akira questions the part where he said she only sees him as a friend. Interrupting, her mom says it's time to get back to work, which startles Akira and makes her drop her phone. Daichi's eyes instinctively go to the screen, and it shows her recent search history. She'd been looking up what kind of clothes her boyfriend might like, among other related things. Seeing that makes Daichi flustered, and before he can say anything, Akira says that she doesn't want them to keep acting like just two friends either. That's when Daichi realizes she does see him as a guy. The next day, while studying together, Akira calls Daichi over and says she doesn't understand a question. He comes over to help, quickly explaining it, but not wanting him to go back to his seat, Akira asks him to explain another one next. They're clearly showing more romantic affection toward each other now, and seeing that, Daichi wonders if she'd refuse a proper date invitation. Not just any outing, but an actual date spot where other couples would be. He had tried inviting her back when they graduated from middle school, but she turned him down then, so he wonders if it might work now. Trying to convince her, Daichi says there will be chocolate fountains and various little performances, and asks if she doesn't like that kind of thing. After staring at him for a moment, she replies that she doesn't, but says it's fine, she'll go, which leaves him overjoyed in the moment. And now, on the day itself, as he gets ready, Daichi recalls how before, when they went out, it was either to grab food or just hang out somewhere. But this would be their first time going out as an actual couple. Wondering if Akira was really happy, he remembers something he had overlooked in his excitement. Akira didn't actually seem very cheerful before, just like the last time they went out, since she has serious issues when it comes to trying to be more feminine and act like a couple. Now, ready to go out, he wonders if she might not be happy just like the last time. He knows she's very kind, so now he wonders if she's forcing herself for his sake. Moments later, on his way to meet Akira, he finds her in a corner, wearing beautiful clothes and checking her appearance, until she notices Daichi and greets him, leaving him completely dumbfounded and almost about to call her cute, until he remembers what he was thinking earlier. Not ignoring his doubts, he decides to ask now, even if it might be too late, if she's really okay with going on a date today, that he feels like he might have invited her against her will, and if she wants, they can go back home. However, Akira just asks him to stop talking nonsense. If he invited her, they should enjoy their time together. But since he chose such a high-class place for their first date, it caught her off guard. Still, she decided to come anyway, and she'll try her best too. Besides, she is his girlfriend. That won her heart. Daichi is moved, and thus their date begins. As children, they never even thought about their gender differences, but as they grew up, they gradually became more aware of it, and now they're a couple. That's why Akira acts so strangely, but then Daichi calls her over and points out a Ferris wheel nearby. Imagining what couples do on a Ferris wheel, she quickly refuses the idea, too embarrassed. However, whenever she refuses like that, she always ends up feeling bad and realizes her confidence as his girlfriend is zero. Another couple passes by, holding each other happily, which makes Akira feel even worse, thinking she's rough and not feminine at all. Even though Daichi constantly compliments her, she thinks he probably prefers a prettier, more attractive girl than someone like her. These thoughts have been haunting her since they started dating. Noticing her worries, Daichi takes Akira's hand. She was clutching his jacket anxiously, while thinking to himself that no one would notice his JoJo pose. Only after a few seconds does Akira realize what's happening and gets extremely embarrassed. Daichi then says that since this is their first date, he decided he wants to enjoy the moment being close to her. He wants to do his best to make sure she doesn't regret their relationship, and since they've been acting more like childhood friends all this time, he's not sure if he's being a good boyfriend now. Akira realizes that just like her, Daichi is worried too. Thinking about it, she remembers that since they were little, they cried over the same problems, and it seems they haven't changed that much. She agrees with Daichi and says she's not very interested in cute and feminine things, and sometimes wonders if he really sees her as a girl. Embarrassed, she questions whether she even deserves to be his girlfriend. Daichi listens quietly to his girlfriend's doubts, and after thinking for a moment, tells her to realize that they are holding hands right now, and that makes his heart feel like it's going to jump out of his chest. And it doesn't stop there. He continues, saying he was wondering how lucky he was to be holding her hand, and that he's very happy about it. That her hand is small and soft, and that he wants to hold hands with her until the end of the night. Unable to bear her embarrassment anymore, Akira tries to say she already understands, barely able to look into his eyes. Daichi then says that until her worries disappear, he will keep expressing how he feels about her. And with that, Akira returns to normal and starts laughing, now feeling relieved. Then she squeezes the hand Daichi was holding tightly, catching him off guard, laughing like a fool. She thanks him, and they continue holding hands for the rest of the night. The next day, during judo practice, Akira is suddenly called while she was putting tape on her fingers. Before going there, she hands the roll of tape to Daichi. In doing so, they accidentally touch each other's hand, which makes them remember the encounter they had the previous day. After that, both of them feel awkward, and Akira goes to where she was called. After that encounter, they slowly start acting like a couple, and Akira slowly begins to behave more like his girlfriend. Moments later, the teacher introduces 3 new girls who will start attending the classes. And since Akira and Daichi are veterans there, he tells them to help the new girls with whatever they need. After their introduction, the 3 go to Daichi and ask him to teach them everything. Naturally, Daichi helps them and shows how to perform the throw, and they are all impressed, while Akira watches from the background. That's when she realizes he's pretty popular with girls. The youngest-looking one among the 3, feeling shy, tries to repeat what he taught in a cute way. Minutes later, he goes to Akira, who was sitting and watching everything, full of jealousy. Staring at the 3 who were now practicing what Daichi had taught, Akira asks him to help her practice too. Innocently, he goes, and on the mat, he is quickly caught in a headlock. Furious, Akira immobilizes Daichi completely, and the 3 girls start wondering if that's really how it's done, since Akira was in quite a curious position. Daichi would definitely love to stay there for a few good hours, but realizing that, Akira becomes completely embarrassed and lets him go. When he gets up and calls her name, Akira is shocked and flustered, but Daichi only says she did a great job and notices how excited she seems today. Seeing that she's getting stronger, he decides not to fall behind either. Now, while changing clothes, Akira remembers Reina's advice. And with that, she decides that instead of acting little by little, she needs to pull herself together and start acting seriously like his girlfriend with all her strength. On another day, Akira arrives home after her daily training, and her mother asks if, since Daichi is coming later to study with her, she wants her to order a pizza. Akira agrees and says she'll take a shower. Ever since she decided to act more like his girlfriend, she's been preparing a special strategy for this day. Some time later, Daichi arrives, and she goes to greet him, however, unlike before when she used to wear old rags. This time she's nicely dressed. Daichi notices that and comments that she's wearing something different than usual, while thinking how cute she looks. And Akira, flustered, says it's because her other clothes are being washed and this was the only one left. Daichi then comes in, and after studying for a while, Akira tells him there will be pizza later. Now looking for a movie to watch, Daichi finds a slow and calm one. Akira, however, stays quiet and nervous, starting to recall the research she had done earlier for this moment. Reading about the best methods to get closer to one's partner, Akira could barely finish reading, since they were all way too advanced, which made her wonder if people really did such things. Until after much searching, she found something that suited her taste, wearing nice clothes and then trying to snuggle up to her partner. That was something she believed she could do. Getting down from the bed and slowly approaching Daichi, who was focused on the movie and almost falling asleep, Akira makes her move, but Daichi suddenly hears the sound of a motorcycle horn and wakes up, realizing the pizza must have arrived. And Akira, who was only going to lean on his shoulder, ends up missing completely, and Daichi is left speechless. Only after a few long seconds does Akira realize things didn't go as expected and becomes completely embarrassed, while Daichi can't understand a thing. Akira quickly stands up and says that it was just an accident that happened on its own. Just a misunderstanding. She was so flustered she couldn't even think of a decent excuse. Days later, Akira went to see Reina and asked what she needed to do to become a more suitable girl. She explains that Daichi has been getting more popular, so she's been wondering how she could look more like his girlfriend in his eyes. That she had already tried some things, but they didn't seem to work, so she wanted Reina to give her some tips. Hearing that, Reina felt proud of how much Akira had grown and agreed to help her. Picking some clothes, Reina says that since Akira is usually so energetic, maybe she should try acting more graceful and delicate. Since that would contrast with her usual behavior, maybe then she would stand out as his girlfriend. After thinking about that for a while, Akira tries to make a cute face, and she becomes so cute that Reina can barely stand looking, but she doesn't stop there. She's going to make Akira even more charming. And so, days later, Akira arranges a date with Daichi, and when she arrives, she's not only visually different but also greets him in a different way. Daichi is shocked by all that, then says she looks super cute, but different, and before saying anything, Akira remembers that with these clothes, her usual behavior would seem weird, so she studied a lot on how to fix her way of speaking. She's been practicing a lot for this moment. As they start walking, Akira says it's a bit cold, and Daichi asks if she'd like to go to Jinjin first, a place they always go. Deep down, she'd love to go there for ramen, but realizes that wouldn't be something a lady would do. After thinking for a bit, she suggests they should go to a cafe instead. Now seated and eating, Akira makes sure to order a small sandwich to show her gracefulness, but it's not very tasty and definitely not enough to fill her up. Suddenly, she hears some girls saying she looks adorable, and because of that, she decides to stick with her plan until the end. However, as night comes, Akira is starving. Daichi, noticing it, stops her as they pass in front of a restaurant, goes inside, and says they'll order something to eat, and Akira is left confused. As they sit waiting, Daichi says she's wearing attractive clothes today, and that she really is, but he'd hate it if she got stressed out. And that, moreover, he thinks it's better when she's being her usual self. After that, even though embarrassed, she takes off her glasses, the food arrives, and Daichi tells her to eat before it gets cold. And looking at her now, he realizes that the usual Akira is back. She laughs loudly and says the ramen is delicious, and thus Akira realizes that staying true to herself seems to be the best choice. On another day, now at school, the teacher warns the students not to act crazy after leaving school just because it's the start of a new semester. Daichi, however, doesn't seem to be listening to her at all. At that moment, he could only think about Akira and how she's been acting strangely compared to usual. She's been trying to follow fashion trends and even change her way of speaking to something more delicate girl-like, which makes him wonder what the hell is going on. Maybe she's trying to change her image? While he's thinking about that, a friend tries to call him, but he's completely ignored. Suddenly, however, a girl with a complete delinquent vibe appears and, for some reason, is staring straight at him. He has no idea who she is. His classmate asks if something's wrong, but she ignores him too. Daichi says nothing and just tries to leave, but she keeps staring. Until she finally calls out to him and asks if he happens to be from the Matsui Dojo, the name of the dojo he attends. Getting closer to him with an intimidating aura, she says Akira's name and asks if he knows that person. Not letting himself be completely intimidated, Daichi asks what she wants with Akira. And after a serious stare, she reveals that she's actually a huge fan of Akira. That she thinks Akira is extremely cool. That completely breaks the serious mood that had been created, and the girl then introduces herself. She's a first-year student named Yura, and she's a big fan of Akira. Yura says she still clearly remembers the judo tournament that had both boys and girls, which she watched with her brother. That even with her small and cute body, Akira was a legend, piling up victory after victory. Since then, she became Akira's fan. Yura says she saw a photo of her on the dojo's page, but that wasn't enough. After hearing all that, Daichi completely agrees with her. She asks if he's serious, and he says yes, and that actually there are several other reasons to admire her, like when she puts tape on her fingers. Hearing that makes Yura admire Akira even more, and as she keeps talking about her, Daichi mentions that they're going to practice today, and that she might be able to meet Akira. He asks if she'd like that, and of course, she agrees, almost in disbelief. Daichi would love for Akira to meet this fan who admires her so much, and he even imagines Akira's reaction. That night, Daichi introduces Akira, and Yura is completely shocked, while Akira doesn't understand what's going on, and Daichi tries to encourage Yura to talk to her. However, she's way too shy and hides behind Daichi. He asks what's wrong since she said she was going to give Akira a present and ask her some things, but Yura says she's too nervous. After all, she's standing before her idol. Unable to handle the embarrassment any longer, Yura hands Akira's present to Daichi and runs off, while saying that she's just too amazing. Now alone with Akira, Daichi reflects that maybe he'd feel the same way if he weren't her childhood friend. Akira, however, still doesn't understand anything and tugs on Daichi's sleeve like a lost child. He asks what's wrong, and Akira then questions what all that was about. Daichi, however, simply apologizes and says he just wanted to introduce her to Akira, adding that maybe next time it'll work out. Remembering Yura's flashy appearance, Akira now wonders if she should dye the ends of her hair too. Akira is simply too cute, and Daichi, hearing that, says that Akira can do whatever she wants with her hair. She'll still be extremely cute, and embarrassed, she says that's not the reason, making him now wonder if she's actually trying to change her image. The next day, at the dojo, Akira was still thinking about what happened yesterday, where, from her perspective, it seemed like Daichi was flirting with Yura, and she wonders who that girl is. Even while training with one of the newcomers, Akira could only think about that, and the doubt was turning into anger. To make things worse, the teacher says Daichi won't come today, which only delays her chance to clear things up. When she's about to leave the dojo, Akira runs into Yura, who was waiting for her, radiating a frightening aura. She says she wants to talk to her, and Akira immediately remembers that she was the girl from yesterday. She then thinks that she understands Daichi has become popular recently, but he even managed to attract a delinquent girl? Not letting herself be intimidated, Akira asks what she means by talk. She already thinks the girl came there to fight. However, Yura says she wants to apologize because she was a total failure as a human being, for running away the previous day. But Akira didn't know she meant that and immediately assumes she's confirming that something happened between her and Daichi. Yura then starts saying that she's been watching the tournaments for a long time and noticed how Akira's technique keeps improving, along with her daily effort. But Akira thinks this means she really is trying to steal Daichi from her. Blushing, Yura says that watching them is very inspiring and that now she's sure she's in love. Hearing all that, Akira gets angry but also embarrassed, since even as her opponent, Yura admits she knows Daichi's strengths very well. And seeing Yura completely flustered after saying that, Akira realizes that even though she looks like a delinquent, she's actually really cute. After all that, Akira gathers her courage and declares that Daichi is hers. Yura, however, doesn't seem to understand what she's saying and asks who Daichi is, leaving both of them completely confused. Then Yura says she's a fan of Akira. That's when Akira realizes she completely misunderstood the situation and becomes utterly embarrassed. Yura repeats what Akira said, trying to understand, but Akira begs her to forget she ever said that. Akira then gives her an autograph, and thus ends this day full of misunderstandings. The next day, they meet again, and Akira explains that the boy who was with them was Daichi, and that he's her boyfriend. Yura says she ended up acting really rude toward them, but Akira tells her it's fine and that she misunderstood too. Then she begins venting and says that lately he's been getting really popular, so she ended up feeling insecure. But that he always tells her how cute she is without hesitation, and even said she's better when she acts like herself. And since she feels like he's always the one in control, she wants to break his composure for once. Yura gets super excited to learn that Akira also has that maidenly side and says she has an idea for that problem. Later, in front of Daichi's apartment, Akira and Yura show up wearing delinquent-style clothes. Trying to get into character, Akira says she's going to beat Daichi up, but she can barely look at him. Noticing that things seem a bit weird, Akira asks if this approach will really work, and Yura seriously says of course it will. It's a modern look for girls, and it contrasts perfectly with her cuteness. After that, she wishes her good luck, takes a photo of her, and runs away. Now alone with Daichi, Akira wonders how he'll react to this. Unfortunately for her, Daichi simply says it's an awesome outfit. Suddenly, it starts raining, and as they run, Akira blurts out that the outfit belongs to Yura. Since the clothes got wet, Daichi says they can dry them at his place. Seeing that Akira also got soaked and her hair was dripping, Daichi takes her clothes to dry and tells her she can grab something dry from his room while he steps out. Looking for something to wear, Akira now feels disappointed because Daichi's reaction went exactly as she expected. In the end, she feels like she's just running in circles. Suddenly, Daichi returns and says he's put her clothes in the dryer. He starts saying that going out dressed like a delinquent could be dangerous, and Akira, already expecting the lecture, just apologizes awkwardly. However, for Daichi, seeing her in that situation makes him suddenly turn his face away, and Akira doesn't understand why. She tries asking what happened, but he says nothing. Thinking he's angry, she asks him not to avoid her and wonders if it was really that serious. But when she looks at his face, she notices he's completely flustered, and only then understands what's happening. So she asks if he thought the situation was weird, and he says not exactly, but that he's just never seen her like that before. Akira doesn't get it and tries to look him in the eyes, until she realizes that, somehow, this is exactly the kind of reaction she was hoping for. She had finally found something that worked. Now, completely convinced, Akira wonders if she really discovered Daichi's weakness, and because of that, she keeps teasing him. Without knowing he's being tested this whole time, Daichi asks why she looks so happy. Seeing Akira like that is starting to make things difficult. As he begins to lose his composure, Daichi tries to throw a hoodie at her. He insists that she'll be more comfortable wearing it, but Akira just laughs at how flustered he is. She now realizes just how nervous he really is, and that makes her curious. Look at her delinquent face. While he's still trying to convince her to put the hoodie on, distracted by everything, Daichi ends up tripping and falling. At that moment, only the sound of the rain can be heard, growing louder. He tries to get up but freezes for an instant. The situation is embarrassing, but suddenly, neither of them feels the urge to move away or avert their gaze. More than ever, Daichi just wants to observe her closely, trying to understand what she's thinking. However, perhaps because he realizes what might happen next, Daichi abruptly backs away, leaving Akira confused. Completely flustered, he says that kind of thing should only happen after marriage. Akira stands still and Daichi gets up, and when he looks again, he sees that she's now wearing the hoodie he offered, and he can finally take a deep breath. But Akira isn't upset. On the contrary, she's extremely happy. Later, on another day, as they're heading to a concert of an artist Daichi really likes, Akira is still thinking about that day, especially the part where Daichi said he'd only do that kind of thing after marriage. She wonders if he really means he's thinking about marrying her. They're only in their second year of high school, so marriage now would be impossible. She never thought Daichi had that kind of idea. Suddenly, a woman passes by them with several children, many of them all small, and Daichi says it's more fun when there are lots of them. And Akira, with her vivid imagination, immediately assumes he means he wants lots of kids, making her say it's way too early for that, which leaves him completely confused. Passing by a curry restaurant, Daichi says that when curry's for dinner, he could eat tons of it, even every day. And here, my friends, we get a heavenly vision. We see what adult Akira would look like. And my God, what a beautiful woman. She imagines Daichi coming home after work. As they sit down for dinner, she says she made curry, but thinks it didn't turn out that great. But Daichi says that's not true, because Akira's cooking is the best there is, and that he thanks God he managed to marry her. Back in reality, Akira grows increasingly flustered. As they keep walking, she realizes she's getting carried away, imagining a whole romantic fantasy scenario just from one comment Daichi made. Noticing something's wrong, Daichi stops Akira and places his hand on her face, which immediately reminds her of the other day. Blushing bright red, she says it's too soon. However, what Daichi is actually doing is checking her temperature, and he confirms that it's really high. He says he's noticed her acting unusual and with a flushed face all the time. She even tries to make up an excuse, but it doesn't work, and holding her hand, worried, he says they're going home. Akira asks if it's really okay to do that, since it's a popular band and he seemed excited to see them. But Daichi says it's fine, nothing's more important to him than Akira's well-being. Embarrassed, she apologizes for that but thanks him. This way, Akira realizes where Daichi's heart truly is, always putting her first. And so, Akira begins to think that if it's with Daichi, maybe she can start considering marriage. A few days later, Daichi had arranged to meet Akira, and he's still thinking about that night. Akira, who's recovered well from her fever, arrives running and out of breath. Daichi now realizes he's become seriously aware that Akira is a girl. Since she's just recovered and they haven't gone out in a while, Akira decides to drop the approach she's been using and just have fun today. After apologizing for her sudden fever, she says she's fine now and wants to have a lot of fun. Without realizing it, Daichi simply can't take his eyes off Akira. Today they're at a sports game center, and noticing she can move freely again, Akira says maybe her skills have improved. Sitting next to Daichi to rest, his eyes betray him again, and he quickly turns away. Now, in a one-on-one basketball match, Akira starts trying to steal the ball from Daichi, but since he's much taller, she just can't reach it. Looking down at her struggling to grab the ball, he starts noticing things he hadn't before. However, Akira starts getting irritated because he's too tall and says he's cheating. After Daichi drops his guard, Akira jumps, slaps the ball down, quickly grabs it, and scores. Watching that, Daichi simply accepts that now he can't avoid noticing even the smallest things anymore. He then tries to calm himself, telling himself that it's just Akira being cool, and soon night falls. As they leave, Akira now realizes that coming in such light clothes wasn't a good idea. She's freezing. Noticing that, Daichi takes off his jacket and hands it to her. The jacket, however, barely closes, which immediately gives Daichi déjà vu and makes him turn away again, leaving Akira confused. And so, we stop here, with Daichi now far too aware of the many great qualities his girlfriend possesses. If you liked this recap and want more parts of it, or recaps in general, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and, if possible, hype the video so it reaches more people. See you next time.